I've done some stupid video game videos before. Yeah, but this one kind of sort of maybe has a script a little bit. And I apologize for the quality of the audio. This is the mic I have, so I'm going with it. If you're familiar with Norse mythology, you'll know about Loki and his wife, Sigyn, who is the goddess of fidelity. And I have two characters based on both of them. I might do a video on them later. But I decided to include their children, Narfi and Vali. And it doesn't really say in the Edda if those two were twins or not, but I've chosen to interpret them as fraternal twins. Their eyes are closed here, but they do actually have different eye colors. Vali's eyes are heterochromatic, like his dad's, and Narfi has his mother's blue eyes. So I first just adapted Sigyn, and basically these two come along at some point, like centuries into their parents' marriage, and it's sort of a modern type of thing. Like, they live on Midgard in this little cottage in Norway. They have all these like modern hobbies. They travel around a lot, cause general havoc and tomfoolery. They're a lot of fun to write, and I've written these two specifically to be like very different, but at the same time very close and supportive of one another. And they're just the cutest little shits I've ever written, I think. So, actually, before we start, so I've been calling this the beebee family. If you follow me on Tumblr, you would know that the tag for these characters, Narfi, Vali, Loki, and Sigyn, I've been calling them the beebees, or the beebee family, or beebee boys. And that's spelled B-E-E-B-E-E, like the animal. Basically, that came from when I was first adapting Sigyn. I was telling my friend about it, and I was describing, like what she's like, and I mentioned her favorite animals would probably be honeybees. Just for, the aesthetics, she'd probably think they were cute. I had drawn her up at that point with, like, bees, bee puns on her shirts, on her jackets, and all that. Lots of yellow and black. And so, without hesitation, my friend tells me, I'm going to call her BB. I'm going to call them both BBs. They're the BBs. And so they just kind of evolved into the BB family. So whenever I tag something as BBs, that's what that's supposed to mean. Up until then, I'd been using the tag Logan, Logyn, and I still use that tag, but honestly, BB sounds better to me. So for these designs, I went through quite a bit of trial and error. So basically, what went on was that at first I'd only adapted Sigyn, and even then it was a very loose adaptation. I really didn't have a lot of backstory for her, or, passions, general goals, nothing like that. I just knew that I wanted to adapt Sigyn because personally I just like the idea of a goddess of fidelity, and I like what she stands for and what she symbolizes. But it was kind of vague at that point, and I know my first few pictures of Sigyn, when I posted her, I had some, like, Marvel fans who were shipping her with, like, MCU Loki, and, well, that's not the case anymore, obviously, since I've adapted my own Loki. I was very flattered by that. If you were one of the people that shipped her with Tom Hiddleston's Loki, thank you. So, at the time, that wasn't official, but I knew people were doing that, and they'd reblog her to their Loki blog and tag it with things like my wife and, like, shit that just made me blush like mad. So what I did was, when I first adapted her kids, I didn't officially say that they were the MCU Loki's kids, but their designs did kind of take on that sort of air. I know Vali originally had darker hair, and one of them had green eyes. I don't remember which one. It might have been Vali, but one of them had green eyes. And I don't know, those designs just look way more bland than they should have. I didn't like them. I was looking at them for so long going, they don't have anything special about them. They look like background characters. And that's kind of what they were. They didn't have their own identity yet. So, what I ended up settling on was, after I decided to just work up the balls to adapt my own version of Loki, my Loki ended up being very tan-skinned and sort of ginger. I wanted him to be more ginger, but like a darker ginger so that it didn't clash too much with his skin tone. I settled on a shade that I thought was ginger at the time, but when I look now at the color drop tool, when it appears on the color wheel, it's actually more of a dark brown. But it works anyways. So when I made him ginger and tan skinned, it made it where the boys ended up also being a little bit darker than their mom, and Vali got to inherit his dad's ginger slash light brown hair. So Narfi I wrote initially when he was little to be the rambunctious one. I took some inspiration from wolf children. They're half Jotun, so since Jotuns are shapeshifters, I took the opportunity to say that they're half Vanir, half Jotun, so they would have some shapeshifting ability. I immediately thought of wolf children and of all the scenes of Yuki running around in her wolf form with her brother chasing after her, and I thought that Narfi definitely would be the more extroverted one of the two of them. So Narfi took on the long, kind of wild hair when he was younger. It was untied, and this adorable freckled face with the little dimples and big smile all the time. And when he was little, he wore overalls and stuff like that that would accommodate whenever he switched forms. And yeah, I have some pictures actually that I posted of them where they're kind of half turned into wolves, so they have the ears and the tails and maybe some claws and fangs and stuff like that. And I just kind of ran with that. This picture took me maybe 2 hours. It wasn't the longest process I've ever done, but it's not as clean as I would like it to be. I did improve from the sketch. The sketch I initially didn't think I was going to finish, but all the other ones that I was super proud of had things to do with my secret project that I'm working on for publication. So I thought it might not be wise to reveal a whole bunch of stuff about them. At least not right now. I hope I'll get to later. For Narfi's design, and I'll remind you, Narfi is the brunette, I really leaned into kind of his mom's influence. The twins are fraternal twins, which means I didn't need to make them look exactly the same, which I'm glad for because they really don't look alike. Except for their freckles. They share their freckles. Their little baby freckles, which are also a thing that they got from their mom. Basically, each character in the beebee's family has their own little thing about them that sticks out, and for the longest time, Narfi felt like the blandest one. I had a lot of issues with his design. I beat myself over the head a lot because I felt like I wasn't doing him justice and that he was too boring. But as I got to know him a little better and wrote him more, I kind of just found this nice little niche, just this little place that could be totally Narfi. I don't know if that makes sense. Basically what happened was I knew I wanted him to have his mother's hair color. I didn't know how much of it though, since Sigan has like these ginger highlight streaks going through her hair. And to me that's always been like her personal special thing. And I thought that maybe one of her kids might get that passed on to them. I ultimately decided not to do that though because for one, Vali's already ginger and Narfi needed his own hair color. So without the stripes, it's actually a little bit more special than with them, at least as far as I can tell. I actually did decide to go with a braid. I rewatched Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood again a couple weeks ago with my sister when I was redesigning these kids for like the 50th time, so that's probably where I got that. Edward Elric just has the prettiest hair, okay? And I thought that Vali would totally do that if only to hide the fact that he never brushes his hair like some sort of heathen. And he is, and I love him. I've drawn a picture of him when he was younger and he's wearing like these dorky overalls. I don't know if he'll continue wearing overalls as a teen. Maybe. What I have him in here is like this sort of varsity jacket, which I think is a lot more cozy. I wanted to make it look like he's ready to either go on a hike or spend the day inside looking at the rain through a window. For Vali, I had some issues, but on the opposite end, where I felt like I was making him a little too different, a little too weird in his design. So he's got freckles, he's ginger, he's got heterochromatic eyes. I know you can't see from right now, but he has a brown eye that's the same color as his dad's brown eye because Loki also has heterochromatic heterochromia. He's got his dad's brown eye and he's got one of his mom's blue eyes. And I thought that was going to be way too much, and I was looking at it like, he's too weird, and it doesn't fit the fact that he spends a lot of his time reading, and he's very intellectual and kind of introverted. But I think I got to a point where I really like how his hair looks. It's a little wild in this picture, and honestly it gets more wild as he grows up, but I really like it. And he did have curtain bangs for a little while as a kid. Again, I'm pretty sure that was a remnant of Edward Elric. But he doesn't have them in this picture, at least not as anime-like as I'd drawn them before. I don't normally draw Narfi in yellow. He is wearing it here, but I figured that the explanation for that could be that that's one of his mom's old jackets and that she's letting him wear it. Segan's color is yellow. I have a thing where each character needs to have their own color, and while they can wear other colors, that color is typically associated with them. For Segan, it's yellow. For Loki, it's really dark gray and or black. For Vali, it's usually green, and for Narfi, it's blue. I did want to share what I have of these characters so far because I love them so much, and I haven't decided what I'm going to do with their whole arc yet, because again, if you know the mythology, it doesn't exactly end well for them, and I'm so attached, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to adapt the story, because it makes me so sad every time, and